your business? Or are you just jumping at another marketing strategy? Something came across Facebook, an offer to learn something new, and you see that's what's going to change things for you. But I ask you, have you ever thought that maybe you need to dig a little bit deeper inside of you, and work on you on the personal side, and that's going to make a huge difference in your business? Well, today on Make It Click, I'm happy to have with me Monika Becker. Monika Becker is a leadership and clarity coach. Welcome to Make It Click, Monika.
Thank you so much for having me, Christine. Good morning.
So, Monika, I want to start out with many business owners believe because they've chosen their path, they're providing a service or a product that they truly believe in, that they are really in alignment with their why and they're clear on what they do. But if their business isn't growing, well, I guess that's one of the clues that maybe they aren't. What are some of the clues that maybe they're not really clear on what they do?
That's a great question. Well, I guess they're like something that happened to me, not necessarily only in business, but in life in general, is that I felt somehow an conflict, an internal conflict. Like something wasn't quite gelling right. There was like I was maybe frustrated more so than happy about things. And there were just roadblocks that felt like I needed to stop and reconsider. So I think there can be internal warning signs, alarm bells that can go on, that somebody feels frustrated, conflicted, and maybe there's a little nagging voice inside that actually is also doubtful. So it's a lot to listen to oneself, to the inner conversation that we're having, with the internal dialogue that we're having with ourselves, that might point us to the fact that we may not be, or the possibility that we may not be on the right track, right? And also, if I just may add one more point, is that we may also find that rubbing or that conflict in our interactions with other people, or when we need to do things for our business or in our business, and we just don't really want to, or there's something that just doesn't feel right, and that rubs us in the wrong way, if that makes sense.
Would you say that it takes someone couple of years to suddenly wake up one day and say, "Oh, maybe it's not my strategies, my marketing strategies. Maybe it's this side." Do you find that when people come to work with you, that's the case?
It I think it's, in most cases, it's an accumulation of little frustrations or indicators that something isn't quite in alignment in their life, that will get them to come to seek counsel or to seek support, right? So it can take quite some time for people to come to the point where they realize, oh, something isn't quite right. I don't know what it is, but I need some support in figuring it out, because I'm not happy, I'm not satisfied, I don't sleep well. Things are just not feeling smooth and as easy as they used to, or as they should do.
Right. Now, I'm wondering, aligning your business, you talk about aligning it with your values and who you truly are. Why is this important?
That's another great question. Well, from my point of view, and of course it's my personal perspective, life only makes sense, or actually can be lived to the fullest, and that includes the professional life, if we can be who we are wherever we are and in whichever role we are. And that includes our role as business owners and entrepreneurs. So, to give you an example, if I was to be highlighting or like showing up in one particular way, like my authentic self in the personal life, but as soon as I enter my office, even if yeah, whether it's a physical office or you're just at home, and all of a sudden you put up a different facade because you think that you have to be a different person in your professional life, there is a disconnect, right, between who you truly are and how you choose to show up in your business. And people feel that,
Mm,
right? People feel sense that there's something not quite true about you or not quite right, or they might not trust you as much because people are sensitive beings, right? I'm not sure about you, but I think many of us probably have felt that, right? That somebody was saying something, but they actually meant something else.
mm,
So there's already immediately there can be a loss of trust while you haven't even really started the relationship with the person yet, right? So that's why I find it's important that we align our business and our life in general with who we truly are, and our values are part of that, right? If we have really taken the time and effort to sense into, so what really matters to us so much that we want to live our life by those principles.
right. Well, as you were saying that, what came to mind was you hear so often of people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. And I don't think when people are saying those words, I don't think they fully understand how deep they need to go. It's th they I find all too often that people believe it's a time thing. People will get to know me over time, they'll get to know me, they'll get to like me, they'll get to trust me. But from what you're saying, Monica, it's more than that. Uh,
It is, yeah, and but it still holds true, because whether you show up authentically or not, people will get to know you.
mhm, mhm,
Right, over time they just get more of the experience that they might not be able to trust you because they feel there's just something missing or something not quite honest and
mhm,
something not quite in alignment. So yes, the statement still holds true. They will
mhm.
get to know you, but
Yeah,
whether they will trust you, that is the question,
wow.
right? And there for sure time is a factor, right? Because we just need time to get to know people, see how they interact with others, how they treat us, how they whether they follow up with their promises or not, right? Which is part of building that trust between human beings, whether it's in the personal or professional realm.
Right, and as you said, though, somebody could just you could walk into a room and somebody meets you, and because of the way you are presenting yourself, they can get a feeling immediately of who you
Absolutely,
truly are.
yes,
So,
absolutely.
beyond that time frame of thinking, "Oh, it's okay, they'll get to know me and like me and trust me over time," but it
Mhm.
starts from that very first interaction.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and for me personally, that was one of the biggest reliefs that I have, like now looking at the person who has actually done the values work and the inner work, when I finally came to a place where I no longer felt the need to be somebody else in my professional realm. Oh my God, like what a relief. Like what a
Mhm.
relief that I felt safe and secure and confident enough to show up as who I was and not to try to put on a facade that I thought I was expected and I needed to put on.
Mm. Yeah,
It's
yeah. So, okay, so we understand now that we need to align to our values and who we truly. How do we do it?
well,
How do we
there
do
there
it?
are there are exercises, right? That people can do, reflective questions, and really an exercise, for example, that I'm happy to share with the audience, and we'll share the link later on in our conversation, where you go through a whole list. Like my exercise includes about 400 different words that are potential values that you might resonate with, right? So people go through this whole list of values and highlight the ones that resonate with them. And in a process of several steps, they narrow them down. Like my ideal number is between 5 and 7 because that's a number that we can easily remember to what the
Mhm.
values are and what we do to live them. Right. So there are exercises like that help us to actually, yeah, narrow things down and find the word that really resonates with us. And then the
Mhm.
important thing is, though, is that we combine those values words, for example, integrity, with an action or actions that we're willing to take in order to live that value. Because if we just have make a statement, oh, my values are integrity and possibility and family. Well, that's great. Perfect. But what does that look like when you live those values?
Mm.
That's important, right? That we don't just make a blanket statement, but that we are ready to make a declaration and a commitment of what it looks like when we live and demonstrate those values in our day-to-day life, so that we can also look at night and at our values maybe and reflect, okay, so how did I do today? Did I actually do what I said I would do based on my value statements? So that's
Mhm.
important, that we combine our values with some action steps that are meaningful to us as a demonstration of our values.
I think that's the first time I've heard that explanation. I've been in activities, here's the values list, choose yours, but I don't think anybody ever then took to the next step, "Okay, so what actions are you going to take, to demonstrate those values?" So, thank you for that, Monica.
Hmm.
It's the f and action with whatever you decide with anything in your business or life without the actions, it's useless. It's you
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Similar to workshops, right? Like when you go to a workshop and then,
Mhm,
yeah, of course, you'll learn something, right? You'll
mhm.
always learn something. But then if you don't put it into practice and integrate what you learned into your business, then yeah, you're really losing out big time.
Right, right. And I think you had said something like maybe reflecting every day then at your core values and asking yourself,
Hmm.
"What did I how did I demonstrate it today?" Is that correct?
Yeah,
That's
that's a habit that people can adopt if they feel like it, right? It's definitely something that personally, admittedly, I don't do it all the time either, right? But it could be a good practice, right? To actually
Mhm,
also root yourself in your values as you start your day, right?
mm.
Even just if you've got your 5 or 6 values, take 2 minutes to read through your statements and breathe them in, let them settle in, and set the intention. Okay, well, this is how I'm going to live my day,
Right, yeah, so it's
right?
yeah, it's that repetition that
Yeah, yeah,
then it becomes ingrained in you.
exactly. It becomes
Yes,
second nature
exactly.
and then so much easier. And that's what people will eventually get to know you for. It
Mm,
doesn't mean that they like you, right? But at least they get to know you and they probably
true.
trust you to some degree if there is this felt and experienced alignment
Mhm.
between what comes out of your mouth and what they sense is actually the truth of you.
Yeah, I believe a lot of people can use this information. It's so easy to say, "I believe in this," or "I believe that," but yeah, it's those actions that truly tell us
Yeah,
what
for
you're
sure.
really like. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
can use the reminder too. It's like I'm I'm part of that.
Now, when we've spoken in the past, you talked about being selfish. Being selfish doesn't sound good, just saying, but do you believe it's okay to be selfish?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I would take it one step further. I would say it's necessary. It's essential that we are selfish in a good way. So that's why I coined this term good selfishness. And what I mean by that is that we take really good care of our own well-being and of our contribution to the world, and that we live a life that is meaningful to us and that is healthy and that is self-directed by what is meaningful and enjoyable to us.
Mm,
And at the same time, we also need to respect other people's perspectives, right? So that is important. But in that sense, being selfish actually is like an encouragement and a permission to live our life to the best in the best way possible, which also include that we bring forth our greatest creativity and gifts, which we can only do when we actually focus on what they are, when we focus on what nourishes us, what do we need, what do we want,
mm.
Because if we constantly listen to the requirements of other people or what they want of us, we might lose that sense of connection to what it is that we truly want. And then we might still perform well in the external world, but it probably doesn't feel good. And we are really neglecting our potential and the gift that we have come to this planet with.
Yeah.
Right? So being selfish in a way of taking good care of ourselves and tapping into our potential of bringing our unique creativity and character and personality and strength forward. I think it's not just an act of good selfishness, it's actually a necessity, and it's a friendly obligation that we all have in regard, like, as human beings on our planet.
Yeah. Well, it almost sounds like it's lead by example.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Like,
It's
yeah, there's that
yeah,
component for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, this has been a great conversation, Monica. If our listeners want more information, where can they get that? You had mentioned something earlier. You have something special for them?
Yes, I do, because we talked about the clarity of values and we also just touched on the principles of good selfishness. So I have two exercises that I would like to share with the audience. One is the clarify your values exercise that I touched on earlier. And there are some reflective questions as well as that long list of values and the instructions on how to go through the exercise. So that's one. And the second one is my wheel of good selfishness, which allows you to assess how well you are doing in 8 important areas that I consider relevant to living a good life where we're taking good care of ourselves. So those two exercises, I've uploaded them on a special page on my website. And the link is clear directions. That's the plural. And you'll see it underneath our videos. cleardirections.ca/make it click, like Christine's YouTube channel. So cleardirections.ca/make it click.
Something easy to remember and easy to type into the browser. That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Monica. I do have one last question for you, and this is more about you and your business
Mhm.
and your journey to get where you are today. Is there something that comes to mind that you can pinpoint and say, this one concept that I learned, or this one piece of technology really changed the direction in my business? Is there something that comes to mind?
Whew, there's a few things that come to mind. Let's look at the technology part, because I've talked a lot about the internal world and other things. So technology wise, there are actually several things, and one thing that made my life so easy is the Dashlane. I use Dashlane as a password manager, and
Okay.
that has made my life super super easy, because now I only have one password to remember and everything else gets remembered automatically. So that was a huge lifesaver. And the second one is my calendar, my online calendar. If I remember those days when I send 5 emails back and forth, like, which day works for you? Oh no, that time doesn't work. And now I just send them to my calendar and it's all taken care of. So,
Oh, yes, yes. You're speaking to my heart. Yeah, I just spoke a few days ago about the importance of an online calendar.
mhm.
So,
And ease is one of my values. And those tools, they make my life so much easier. So I very
mm,
much appreciate that.
so good tips, Monica. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It was